Welcome to episode 10 of Local Report. We are now in double-digit episodes. How awesome is that? I'm just so grateful for the guests who have been a part of this show and very grateful to you as the listeners. If this is your first listen, Local Report is a podcast where locals here in Calhoun County, Texas, share their stories, experiences, and roles in this community. And every now and then, we even extend our guest reach to others in the surrounding areas. Now for today, I have two guests, and in this episode, they'll be talking about the Pregnancy Help Center and its role in our community here in Calhoun. So now, on to our guests. To your right, we have Heather Jones, and in the center, we have Miranda Waechter. She is, they are both part of the Pregnancy Help Center here in the Crossroads area, and I'm just glad that they took the time just to get us in the loop with what they do and who they are as people and how they service our community. And so I want to start by just asking, what's your, brief introductory, story you may tell about how you ended up here to do what you do. And also, that can go for both Heather and Miranda here. And so we'll start there from the top. And how'd you end up doing what you do here?
Well, I moved to Port Lavaca 5 years ago, and I'm a professional counselor. My career led me to a whole bunch of different mental health facilities over the years, and I'd been here about 2 years, and I was approached and asked if I'd be interested in submitting my resume for the executive director position for a new nonprofit that was starting. And I have a policy where I always, if I'm asked for my resume, I always give it. Okay. But I had no intention of taking the job because I loved what I was doing. And in the middle of that interview, God was like, no, this is where you're going to go. And so I started at the Pregnancy Center 3.5 years ago. Today actually is the 3-year anniversary of the Pregnancy Help Center.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And so we've been doing this for 3 years, and we absolutely love it.
And it shows, just in my brief time with you guys, whenever we do, end up doing some things together, I see that excitement, what y'all do. Y'all believe in it. It's a conviction. It's something you value. And, I'm glad you became a part of the story here.
Yes.
Now to Miranda. I think I may know a little bit briefly, just, being somewhat, in the circle of some mutual friends, but let's hear it from yourself. You're here in Calhoun. How'd that be?
Yeah, I think we moved here about 9.5 years ago, with Dad coming to First Baptist. But 2017 was the year that I graduated, and it was right after the hurricane. Everything's happening. I was just kind of working at Anchored in Love, and I was like, I don't know if I want to go to college. What do I want to do? I knew that I was called to missions, and it's a big passion of mine, and helping families and moms and stuff. And so Heather called me one day. I was sitting in the back. I remember it very vividly. I was sitting in the back, eating my lunch, and she called and said, hey, the pregnancy center that's coming? Yeah, I know about it.
Right.
What's up with it? And she said, we're looking for an office manager. Would you be interested? And I was like,
you had me at manager.
I know. I was like, is the board okay with hiring an 18-year-old? But I went for the interview, and I was like, okay, this is kind of the same thing. This is what I'm called to. This is local, a mission place that I can pour into our families, pour into our community, and love on people. And so it was completely out of the blue, but I'm so glad that she called. It's really cool.
And I'm glad you shared that because, again, it kind of pieces together how y'all ended up being the team that you are now. And it sounds like there hasn't been any regrets. You're 3 years to the date.
Yeah.
Doing this together. And you guys have been pretty inseparable. I seem like
pretty
y'all
much.
both, I see one, I pretty much see both, but I'm glad y'all built that, that starts there. Who, if there's others a part of your local team here, who would they be, and are they like locally here, or do they work elsewhere and sometimes are here?
We have, in addition to Miranda and I, we have a medical team.
Okay.
And so our medical team consists of Tracy Dunwoody. She is our nurse sonographer. She's on staff with us. And then we have 2 doctors who volunteer with us. Our medical director is Dr. Tim McFarland, and our OBGYN, who reads all of our ultrasounds, is Dr. Frank Hines. And they're both local, part of our community, and all of them just pour their hearts into the pregnancy center.
Right. Great to know that you have a strong team that's been growing. So I think with the addition of some of the other services that you're providing naturally grows your
Yes,
team. So
it
this is a
does.
growing team, right? So a good sign of
Yes.
health that this nonprofit that has, I mean, and I'm sure we'll go into some detail on some of the backstory on some of those things, but there's some extra hurdles you may have, there's some things that you have to do just to do what you do. And so just to know that your team's growing and that,
Yes.
Even potential, not potential, right around the corner, a location change and move. But before we get caught in the weeds there, tell us a bit more about the mission of the Pregnancy Help Center, because that is what you both do.
Well, the Pregnancy Help Center exists to meet the emotional, physical, and spiritual needs of individuals and families in our community. And so our goal is to reach families where at whatever point in pregnancy that they might be at, whether they need material assistance, whether they just need a pregnancy test. There's no income requirements or anything like that. So we're able to help anybody who walks in our doors. And so our mission is to really intervene in their lives and help them make decisions for life, whether it's life for their baby, whether it's to improve their lives with referrals to housing help, or we've gotten a few into drug rehabs, and we, just encouraging them and helping them to be better parents, helping them meet some requirements for CPS. We can do all of those things. And so we really want to intervene in their lives at a point where they're facing some pretty hard challenges, and just come alongside of them and help them in that.
And so you partner with others in the community to see this happen.
Yes.
I've seen y'all do annual banquets.
Yes.
Right. And so
Yes.
maybe for those that are listening and, they may be catching this and they're saying, okay, Pregnancy Help Center is on a mission to, help through the process of pregnancy all the way into parenting.
Yes.
That's definitely the goal, to see parents become equipped to do the best they can for their households. But, there's lots of legwork and there's things that go into that. And one of those is providing annual banquet.
Yes.
And what goes on at a banquet? We're almost at our 5th annual.
We are coming up on our 5th annual banquet on April the 17th. We have a blast. It is probably our favorite night of the year. We come together, supporters, donors, volunteers. Sometimes we have clients who come. We just come to celebrate. We come to celebrate what God has done in the pregnancy center and look toward the future of what he is going to do. So this year, our theme is Mi Familia. We're going to introduce everyone to our family. We're going to introduce people at the banquet to our donors, to volunteers, to clients, to board members. And then we're going to invite those who are at the banquet to become part of our family. And so it's an awesome opportunity just to celebrate. So
Right.
it's a lot of fun. We enjoy it every year.
So I'm doing the math here, and I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be the 5th annual banquet, but the Pregnancy Help Center has been here for 3 years
Yes.
as of today.
Yes.
So you're saying that there was some prep work.
We did.
Okay.
So the Pregnancy Center Board of Directors was formed in 2016.
Okay.
So fundraising happened before that. We had one banquet before we opened our doors, and so we've had 4 since we've opened, there will be 4 in
Right.
April. So we were laying the groundwork, and God was opening doors and providing for the Pregnancy Center about 2 years before we opened. So it took that long to get everything organized and laid out, and tax stuff taken care of, and
Right.
boards designed, and bylaws written, and all the stuff that goes into all of it. It's a lot. So 2 years of hard work.
Yeah.
By the board of directors before I was hired, before Miranda was hired.
So this was
great.
The I'm sure the prayers and the prep work and all that, right? That was like just the
Yes.
behind the scenes work that it took just to get to the starting line.
Yes.
Before they even had, all right, we are now locked in with our staff. Now we have, Heather now as our executive director to lead the charge, and and so That's impressive, right? You know,
Yeah.
you have to have a lot of faith to kind of step into what's just not there to see.
Exactly.
Did they communicate to you, right? So let me ask this. Whenever they pitched this to you, because, you know, the interest in working as an executive director for a nonprofit, but obviously there had to be a lot of belief in the mission for there to be this big, all right, we're all in, right? So like, how'd they sell this to you? Or like how they, other than saying like, hey, we're going to help people through pregnancy to become parents, but what was that conversation like?
The pregnancy center started with a group of people from Hope Reformed Baptist Church here in Port Lavaca.
Yeah.
Pastor Brady Owens was preaching on the sanctity of life, and they just decided we can't just say that we're against abortion and we're pro-life. We have to actually do something about it. And so they decided they were going to open a pregnancy center, and they went to visit a pregnancy center in Lake Jackson. The Pregnancy Help Center in Lake Jackson has been around for 31 years, I believe, 32 years, something like that. And they walked in and said, can you help us? We feel God calling us to open a pregnancy center. We have no idea what we're doing. Found out that Lake Jackson had been praying for an opportunity to open a new pregnancy center. They thought Wharton County, God said Calhoun County. And so they were instrumental in helping us get open, and they're still our mentors in what we do. And so the conversation I had with the board of directors when I was hired on was, here's all the evidence. Here's everything that we have learned. Here's what we're doing. Our board president is the president of the board of directors from Lake Jackson. So he's very experienced. One of our board members was a former pregnancy center director.
Wow.
So there's a lot of experience on our board in this field. It didn't take long for me to jump in. My grandfather was a pregnancy center director for 20 years in the Pacific Northwest. And so I was familiar with the work.
Okay.
And so it didn't take a lot of convincing for me to jump in, other than I loved the job I was doing and I didn't want to leave. But God has totally blessed it. And so just the experience that came with it, and the people that were behind it with the staff in Lake Jackson and their board of directors, it was a pretty easy sell.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know that you said your grandfather?
My grandfather, yes.
Wow. And just, I mean, look at that. I'm sure he would be super proud.
He is so proud.
Yeah.
So proud.
It's like, hey, you know, the family, you know, the gifts or the convictions or, you know, the values that the family has. I'm sure it's nice to see, you know, keep going and generations to follow. So, all right. No doubt it wasn't too hard of a sell.
No, it wasn't too hard of a sell.
Yeah. And I am curious to know about, you know, yourself in the profession as an LPC or licensed professional counselor. Where did you work before then? Or, you know, how long were you as an LPC and practicing before saying, okay, here's a little bit of a changing of gears?
I've been an LPC for about 15 years. I've worked in a drug rehab for a couple of years. I did work with early childhood intervention, working with families that have babies and toddlers with developmental disabilities and medical challenges. And then I came to the pregnancy center from working at Devereaux.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of Victoria. And I loved it. I loved working with those kids out there. And so this has been a very different type job for me, because I'm not doing a lot of counseling anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But the skills that I have as an LPC transfer.
Absolutely.
And so I'm able to train our staff with the skills that I have. And so while I'm not practicing, I still have my license and I still keep it up, but I'm more in a training role when it comes to the counseling stuff now. So
mm-hmm. What are some of the things that, you know, for this kind of work, you know, I would imagine it is one of the touchy subjects, being whether you want to say you're pro-life mm-hmm. or pro-choice. You know, the conversation there doesn't always fare well sometimes, just depending on who you're talking to and depending on what people's experiences are, because that's the funny thing about the world. Everyone's experiences vary so crazy much. And so for you to say, hey, this is where I'm going to align myself, not just as an ideology or as a conviction, but in what I do, you know, like this is now what I'm full time, invested in. And I'm not saying that it isn't full time, as if you're someone that's pro life, obviously,
Yeah.
I'm sure you have conversations with people, and I tend to think though that as you guys have been passionate about this idea of being able to not just say that you're pro life, but actually invest in it and bring some practical change for people. Has there been any kind of local hurdles, or has there been any kind of like, here's some things on the horizon that may actually buffet our will to and our ability to meet these kind of needs in this way?
We haven't really come across anything local.
Okay.
So that's been a blessing a little bit, but it's mostly just individuals that share their opinions with us, but they respect what we do, and that's pretty much where it ends. I hate confrontation. Absolutely hate it. And so being in my field, you're either in it or you're not. You can't ride the fence in our job. And so we pay very close attention to what's going on at our state level, nationally. Fortunately, our local government and our whole community is very supportive of the pregnancy center, and they appreciate that we're pro-life. So we haven't had anything local, but at the state level, we are very well aware of what's going on at the state level. We pay very close attention to the legislation. We have friends and colleagues that are in Austin a lot, working with the legislation. We pay attention to the national level, especially with the new administration. We have to be very vigilant.
Right.
And we are affiliated with an organization called the National Institute for Family Life Advocates. They are a pregnancy center resource that we affiliate with, and they keep us informed. They are they're attorneys, pro-life attorneys. They've won battles at the Supreme Court, pro-life battles at the Supreme Court level. And so we pay attention through them. They keep us very well informed, as well as some of our friends in Austin. So there are hurdles for the pro-life movement for sure. But fortunately for us, Calhoun County is just very supportive, and they're wonderful to us.
Yeah, and that seems to be my big takeaway. Thankfully, of all places here, locally, that does seem to be way more embraced. Heck, I've even driven down 35 while they've had their little there's a name for it, chain for life.
The life chain.
Life chain.
Yes.
And so, obviously that's, there seems to be a strong alignment there, right? And that's good to see. And so there's a couple things that I want to go ahead and just kind of nip in the bud and say, okay, here's a couple of things that Pregnancy Health Center doesn't do. And then we're going to spend a lot of fun time talking about the things that you do. Absolutely. Because there's a ton of things that y'all do that's free, and that you guys do everything you can, bust your backs to make sure it's readily available for people. And so, for those that are wondering what all the services do apply, there's a couple things they don't. Go on your website. You're definitely open about the fact that you don't refer out people to partake in an abortion or provide the resources for those for those to take that step. But in addition to that, you also there's not a provision of contraceptives. Correct. Or there's maybe I'm missing a thing or two in that, but I think that was
that's the biggest thing. We don't do the abortion pills either. So we don't refer for abortions. We don't provide abortion pills. We don't provide contraceptives. Yeah. So that's what we don't do.
And how have y'all navigated that? Because I would imagine maybe someone has, maybe came in and thought, well, hey, maybe this is a place where I get, said services, and, that maybe this kind of goes to you too, because you're right front and center as the person that welcomes people. So how do you navigate that conversation?
We don't always know if someone's coming in looking for an abortion. A lot of times they ask for an ultrasound. They can look on our website, and even though we say we're not going to refer for abortions, they're still going to be like, oh, they can still give me a number. And so if I know that they're coming in looking for an abortion, I start the conversation by saying we do not offer abortions. We do not refer for them. But this is what we do. And so we talked them through their 3 options, and Heather can talk a little bit more about that, but I'm always very upfront. We also get calls from an organization that sends clients that are looking for an abortion to pregnancy centers, and we can't tell all the time if they've told them, hey, they don't provide abortions.
There wasn't a
anything
heads
like
up
that.
maybe all the time.
Yeah, and so
Right.
always start the conversation off with, I don't know if you know this, but just to let you know, this is what we don't do and this is what we do. And so I don't think I don't know if we've had anybody.
We've never had
turn
anybody
away.
who's called looking for an abortion be upset
Right.
that we don't
Right.
offer them.
Right.
We have some people who are disappointed that we don't offer contraceptives,
Sure.
but they don't ever get upset about it.
Right.
They ask us, where can you go? I'm like, that's just a conversation you need to have with your doctor.
Okay.
And that's just not something that we provide. And that's the end of the conversation. And we've never had any negative feedback because of that.
Right.
So,
And I appreciate y'all being upfront because what I have seen in some circles, right, especially with what I do, there's some overlap with, what I keep tabs on. And what I was seeing had kind of bitten some other pregnancy help centers or things of a like service in the rear, is that some were not very upfront, with the fact that
Correct.
those weren't things that they provided or did. And so what would happen is you would kind of go through the whole gamut of like, all right, and then at the very end of, your consultation or, time together, then it was kind of delivered. And so for some, they kind of thought, well, man, this feels a little bit manipulative, or, hey, I
Right.
didn't know I was getting into this. But, I do see that this is something that you guys are upfront about, and you say, hey, this is what our mission is, and we stay true to it, and this is what we do. And so I think that helps, like you said, thankfully there isn't that much ammo for there to be issue, because you guys are very upfront and say, well, here are the things we're for. And we can definitely be very great at what we're for and about.
correct.
And so, there's definitely some, I think, like understanding, I would imagine, like someone comes in, they say, well, what can I get here? And that's why I'm excited to talk about here, because there is not, other than just saying like, hey, okay, just to be clear, this isn't what we do. There's a whole lot of things that you guys do and do
we
well.
do a lot.
Yes.
And it's
so
all free.
Free.
That's the best part of telling somebody, hey, it's free.
It's free.
Everybody qualifies.
Yeah. So there's some things here. Like if someone was to check out the pregnancy help centers, and I'll let you say the full like IRL.
It's
so I don't mess that up.
www.phccrossroads.org.
Awesome. If you go there to .org, you'll see if you go to their free services offered, you guys do a ton. There's free and confidential pregnancy tests. You have limited, but it's I'm probably going to
Obstetric.
obstetric
Yes.
ultrasound. So you do ultrasounds, and that's something that y'all recently done. Can you just share a little bit more what that's looked like this past year?
Oh my goodness, it's our favorite thing
Yeah.
to do. So we started offering limited obstetric ultrasound, and it sounds, by saying limited, basically we're looking for 3 things. We're looking for a pregnancy in the uterus where it belongs. We're looking for a heartbeat, and then we're measuring for gestation. So how far along the mother is in the pregnancy. So that's all we look at. We don't look for gender. We don't look for any abnormalities or anything like that. So that's why it's called limited.
Okay.
But it's our absolute favorite thing to do is show a mom her baby. And oh my gosh, we started it. Well, I'll tell you the story of how it happened.
please
It
do.
was so
Yeah.
crazy. So in 2018 when we opened, I went with a few other directors to North Carolina to a training on ultrasounds. And I knew eventually we would have ultrasound, but I was
Right.
like, we just opened. There's no way. We're not even a year old yet. Those machines are expensive. We can't do this yet.
Are you okay with saying how expensive those
Yeah,
things
we
are?
paid $36,000
For
our
one machine,
Yeah,
for a single
and that's
machine,
and
yeah.
that's half of what a lot of them pay for. So
Okay.
it's very we got a good deal on it. So and that was bought by our community.
Yeah.
The Knights of Columbus helped to pay for that, as well as an individual donor in our community. So it didn't come out of our budget; it was gifted to us by our community. But I went to this training, and in that training, God was like, "You're going to do ultrasound." And I was like,
Right.
okay, but I'm in a building that's only 600 square feet, God. I need a bigger space. And he
Yeah.
goes, no, you don't. And so for a year, he and I argued over this. And he kept giving me money for an ultrasound, but he never gave me a building.
Right.
And so we started ultrasound in our tiny little space, and God blessed it. He brought us our nurse, and he gave us the money for the machine, and he brought our OBGYN, and we started doing ultrasounds in December of 2019. And it's been incredible. And the same month that our ultrasound machine arrived, God gave us our bigger building. So I did get the building, just not how I planned it. It was how God planned
Yeah.
it. And so when we move, ultrasound will have its own room. It won't have to share anymore with the rest of us. But it's pretty cool. It's incredible to see those little lives at just 6, 7, and 8 weeks.
Yeah. No, that's a game changer for you guys.
Absolutely.
Huge game changer. I mean, in addition of the additional game changer of you moving from 600 square foot to 2,400 square foot.
2,400, yeah.
You guys have some room, some elbow room now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't have to be on top of each other anymore.
Well, when you said that, you were like, having to multi-purpose rooms, right?
Yes.
Within 600 square foot. That's not easy to do.
No.
So who was in charge of like playing Tetris? Like, was that you or
Miranda, yeah.
Miranda?
Sometimes it was both of us. My area doubled as volunteer workspace, space for planning banquets, mail outs, things like that. We have like a little, we call it a closet.
Yeah.
It's a little area, little room, and that's where our client advocates were supposed to be. But sometimes we have a lot of donations, and it's all thrown in there. And so for the past several months, our volunteers have been sitting right beside me at my desk. And so I was telling Heather the other day, it's served us well. The 600 square feet, man, we have used every inch of that place, and it has blessed us. But once there's something bigger coming, it's like, oh, we won't have to do this much longer. And I'm kind of sad sometimes thinking about it, honestly. The
I'm
600.
Not. Right.
It's nice to just yell, hey, Heather. I don't even have to get up and go walk to her door. It's like, hey, did you see this? Oh, yeah. And then that's our conversation. Those are our staff meetings right there.
You can have staff meetings in your
In our
areas.
corners.
Separate offices.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you definitely have a lot of history there, and I could see how it would be bittersweet. But like you said, the opportunities that are going to be, right around, and at a point, we'll even kind of maybe unpack this a little bit more about what one can expect if they were to walk into this new building that's going to be opening up. March, right?
Hopefully.
Hopefully,
That's our goal.
Fingers crossed
That's
for
our
March.
goal.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Man. So still looking at these services you offer, you have BrightCourse parenting classes. Hey, I'm totally curious about BrightCourse. What does this look like, or where is this at, or what needs to happen to make this go?
This is Miranda's area. She's in charge of our parenting program.
As of January. So
Congrats.
pretty recent. Thank you. Yes. So our BrightCourse is parenting classes. We were doing them one-on-one in the office, but due to COVID, we've been doing them more online. BrightCourse has been really good about getting them all their classes online. I think they still have a few to add. But we text them a link that's good for 3 days. You watch it, you have your homework, everything's there, and then they earn points for that. And we keep track of all that on the computer, so all they have to do is watch the video and answer questions. And so it's very, very simple. And so, we've even branched out, like CPS has been sending us clients because they're full. And due to COVID, we can do it all online. And so it's been really cool. And it provides education, but also you have that incentive to earn points.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can use it for the baby stuff, whatever you need. And so we've even had moms past Victoria that have been using it. And so it's been really, really neat.
It covers topics all through pregnancy. Mm-hmm. So they take classes and they learn about the different stages of pregnancy and what to expect during pregnancy. It goes through labor and delivery, preparing for the baby to be born, milestones for when the baby's here, CPR, first aid,
Man, those are pretty
all sorts of
things.
stuff, very critical things. And then it moves into the
Lifestyles.
toddler years as well. So we can go up to 36 months with them. And then we also have a parenting track for fathers. So we have a whole set of curriculum geared toward our fathers. We have parenting curriculum geared toward parents that have older children. So if they've got a baby, but they've also got a teenager, we have some parenting classes that can help in that area. We have classes on finances and budgeting and
Which I can use.
job hunting. We do watch them ourselves.
You're like, I'll shadow you for this class.
The budgeting, sure.
And we also offer them in Spanish as
Great.
well. So
That's
we
huge.
can also offer these classes in Spanish.
Well, I'm not bilingual, unfortunately.
We are not either.
I'm outing myself for not. I'm sorry for those who are watching and you notice the shade of my skin. I'm not bilingual yet. I'll give myself a bone. I'll say yet. But so how does that work? Is it through the videos that are bilingual?
The videos, BrightCourse itself has hired professional translators. And so the videos have been translated into Spanish. It's not just subtitles. It is actual, the voices itself are in Spanish.
Cool.
When we have clients that come in that speak Spanish, we have a volunteer who comes in and interprets for us.
Great.
Yeah.
Do you have multiple volunteers that are bilingual? I'm just curious because
no,
I know
right now we only have one.
Okay.
And so it is on our prayer list that God will send us a volunteer that can be in the office for a set period of time each week that's bilingual.
Well, this sounds like a great time to make that plug.
Yes,
and just say, hey.
Please. That is one of our prayer needs that we've had.
Okay.
We need someone who is bilingual.
Well, they're going to, exactly. For those listening, and that's an ability you have. And, already if you're hearing this and you're saying, man, I could totally align myself with what, cause and mission that the Pregnancy Help Center meets. Let's make it happen. Now, I'm trying to think of a final, not final, but something I wanted to add on to this. Okay, I remember now. I like the sense of ownership that doing a class like this does. I think obviously as a parent, well, the incentive to raise a kid is there, but, just by, taking courses, adding that to your toolkit and resources as someone who's becoming a parent and now, adding to, an additional skills for them to succeed. But, there's like a alliance there. There's some kind of partnership like, hey, I'm doing this. And then it helps y'all kind of keep track and kind of y'all walk with them too. So there's like a dual sense of pathways for success there. Now, the like y'all call them baby bucks. Is that what this is called? So baby bucks are the currency of this program.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So it's really been neat to see these parents come in and we don't give handouts. We give a hand up. And so we help them get the things that they need, but they're earning it. Okay. So instead of working a job for money to go and buy these items, they're taking the parenting courses and getting that education, and we provide them with the baby bucks that they need to turn around and use in our boutique. So we've been able to provide car seats and strollers and cribs, the big things, and then also diapers and clothes and bottles and wipes and those kind of things as well.
And it's good quality stuff. Like I've taken a stroll there a couple of times, and it's like really y'all have some nice stuff. It's no slouch.
We do have high standards. I mean, this is going to new babies and young kids, and so you don't want gross. We get some interesting donations.
Right. And
but it makes it kind of fun.
And it's good to know that saying like, hey, look, we vet these things, we look into it, we make sure that, you're getting quality stuff. It isn't like, hey, it's free, so why are you complaining? Like, that's not the conversation. We want what's best for the kid and you as a parent.
We look at recalls. We look at stains. Nothing is that we don't keep anything that's stained.
Okay.
So we have pretty high standards, and it shows our parents. A lot of these moms, they don't ever get new things. Mm-hmm. And so we want to be able to provide them with new or very good used clothes and items.
So they can get that with baby bucks. Yes, and so they're redeemed there at the baby boutique. Now, in addition to this, you guys have counseling services as well. And I say counseling services, but, slash advisory kind of.
It's more advisory. Okay. We don't do any counseling.
Okay.
So I am a counselor, but I don't do any counseling in the office. We do not have a counselor on staff. That's a long-term goal.
Great.
But it's not, and it won't be me. But that is a long-term goal. But right now, we do provide some peer advocacy, I guess might be a better word for it.
Right.
And we're able to provide some help, post-abortion help. And so we have some volunteers who have experienced abortion in their life in one way or another, and so they come alongside and help these moms who have are having regrets for their abortion and some depression or some adverse side effects from an abortion. We've even had moms come in who are having fertility issues, and we've just been able to come alongside of them and help and love on them. We offer referrals for adoption.
Right.
And so we do some advocacy for that and sit and talk with them and walk them through those different things. We also do miscarriage and stillbirth. Help
so many
with that.
things
So
that
many
can
things
happen
yeah.
during a pregnancy. It's unreal.
We address
Wow.
all of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that support system, I mean, have you had a few stories where some people have circled back? Maybe they stopped going to the support group, or, they were a part of it for a time and it helped them get back to, just on their feet. Did you ever hear back and say, hey, just want to re-thank you guys for what's been going on? Because
what's really been fun to see is our moms who have come in when we first started.
Right.
And they would come in and they would take our parenting classes, and they were in 2 or 3 times a week for parenting classes. And we got to form a really strong relationship with them. Their kids got older. They started working again. Life happened. And then a year later, they show back up and they say, you helped me so much when my baby was born. I just want to bring this donation to you, or I just wanted to check in and let you see how much he's grown. Or we get a call sometimes from former clients who say, I've had a death in my family and I'm just really having a hard time. Could y'all just pray for me? And so they really become a part of our family. And they keep in touch. We've had one mom who moved away, and every time she comes back in through town, she'll stop and say hi. And so they've become part of our family, and it's been really fun to see just to see them grow in their own lives.
Yeah. Thankfully, right, their experience was an impact, and it sounds like, I don't know, maybe not trying to read too much into it, but not only are they grateful for you, but I can see them also wanting to pass that on in and of itself, being able to receive help now in a position where they can also say, I'm going to come back around and bless you guys so y'all can continually help other mothers and people and parents. So awesome. The Pregnancy Help Center's seen a lot of things like change, right? The new building. There's a 5th banquet coming up. I mean, just to kind of keep us in the loop though with this past year, I mean, how can you sum up what you've seen happen right before your eyes this past year? Like, what's been happening?
Wow. The past year was, everybody had a rough 2020. I don't think anybody went through 2020 unscathed. But the pregnancy center, we had 123% increase in the number of services we provided in 2020. We worked from home for about 6 months, and we were constantly running back and forth, helping clients, having appointments for ultrasound, pregnancy tests. They needed diapers because there was nothing on the shelves anymore. When the shutdowns first happened, and so just to see what happened in 2020, God's hand was over all of it, and it was just so incredible to see that it didn't stop. The work didn't stop. We never slowed down. We grew. We did. We grew. Crazy. We had an increase in the number of women who were looking for abortions. So we were able to intervene in those situations. And just some pretty incredible opportunities presented itself in 2020. And it was our first full year of ultrasound. And so we were still able to provide 40 ultrasounds in the midst of
40. Wow.
40.
Yeah, that's huge.
In the midst
Great
of
first year.
all the crazy. I know. It's incredible to see what was all involved in 2020. And then God brought us our contractor for our building in 2020 and got all that started. And it's just been incredible. We cannot complain about 2020.
Well, those numbers, I mean, look back on any year would be great. I feel like you would feel like, okay, 2020 was a successful year. Now, during a pandemic and during, the craziness of this year, whether it was, as most people like to think we can be as prepared for things like that, man, I know as a fellow minister around here, I joke with some other ministers and I'm just like, man, we didn't take that like, pandemic one-on-one.
No, they didn't offer that in seminary.
Yeah. Like how do we miss on that one? I would have signed up. But, having a nonprofit organization and doing what y'all do, and then to have what y'all have experienced, I mean, that's amazing.
Right.
Super huge work. Now, with the new location, just circling back to that one, now that you're in this new location, what are some new things that people can expect? Like, so let's say you're someone that has been seeing y'all and they're a part of those that you're going to continually see from the location A to now location B. What are some things that are, I guess, maybe possibly growing with them?
There will be a different emphasis on our parenting program.
Okay.
That is going to be a big change. It's been virtual for almost a year, and so we're going to be circling back to having more face-to-face contact. So in our new building, we'll be able to offer some group classes that we weren't able to offer in our smaller space. So that's going to be different. There's going to be more opportunities for the community to be involved. We're going to be able to host trainings. We're going to be able to host local pastors, to share our mission and our ministry. We're going to be able to just do a lot more, and our clients are going to benefit. There's more dedicated space. There's more
Right.
privacy than there would have been before. Women who come in looking for an abortion are not going to be met with lots of baby pictures and smiles, and they're going to be met with calm, understanding love, and not have to see all of the stuff that they're not really excited about yet.
Right.
And so we're going to be able to I think we're going to be able to impact these families more
Right.
in our new space versus where we have been. God has used our current space, oh my gosh, just to do amazing work.
Yeah.
And if he can do all of that in our current space, I can't even imagine what he's going to be able to do in our new space.
Like there's leg room, elbow room. I saw that you had, behind, I would imagine, where you're going to be working and welcoming people, but there's even like an area for like almost like a conference meeting.
Yes.
And then you got a waiting area. And then,
Yes.
and then I like what you said though, like no matter who you are and what your needs are going in, this is going to be a very receptive place,
Yes.
and so, and obviously that is your heart. That's y'all's heart. It's not to, cause people more grief or
Right.
strain or distress. You're trying to partner with them. And so it's in the name, right? The Help
Yes.
Center.
Yes.
So the good news is you guys are seeing some great advances in what y'all do. Big question here, because I don't want to gloss over this, but how does one partner with y'all? Like, how does one donate, or how can one help, keep the mission going for what y'all do?
There are so many ways to be involved in the pregnancy center. So we're always needing volunteers. We're needing people to make a sacrificial commitment to being a part of the pregnancy center on a weekly basis,
Right.
setting aside 3 or 4 hours once a week to come in and be the volunteer who gets to work with these moms. The volunteers are the ones who do the pregnancy test, who do the ultrasound, who do the parenting classes. Miranda and I run the center. The volunteers are the ones who actually get to work with the clients. And so making that sacrificial commitment to come and be a part. Right now we have 3 or 4 ladies who come and make that sacrificial commitment every week. And we need more. We need like 6 or 8 more who would step up and do that. And so
Right.
it's a pretty cool opportunity to get to work with these moms one-on-one. Other ways to be involved are through financial sacrifices and through financial giving, above and beyond what you give to your local church, giving to the pregnancy center. And so, our budget did take a hit in 2020. We weren't able to do our banquet the way we like to do them. We did a virtual banquet.
Which is still online.
It's still online. You can
Yeah.
still find it. It won't be up there too much longer as we start preparing for our new banquet. But you can
Yeah.
still see last year's banquet on their website. But you can be a part of the financial support of the pregnancy center. We do not take any government funding. So there's not any.
I'm glad you brought that up
There's
because
no.
that's
There's
a
no.
big deal.
There's no grants or funds from the state that we tap into. So we are completely supported by individual donations. We do have some grants that we do receive from some other nonprofits or some trusts. But the majority, like a huge majority, comes from individual donors who are willing to invest, preferably on a monthly basis. You can go to our website and hit the donate tab and sign up to be a monthly donor, and it will automatically draft it from your account or your credit card, however you want to set that up. And, you know, just knowing that we have that steady income is what really helps us focus on the ministry instead of the financial part of it.
Right.
And so if we can have people who are saying, you know what, I'm going to volunteer and I'm going to sacrificially give to the pregnancy center so that you can focus on the ministry and not worry about the finances, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
And so you learn more about that at our banquet in April.
Mi Familia.
Mi Familia.
Yeah, that's what this one's called.
Yeah, it is.
Mi Familia. Is this the first one? No. Do they have a theme every year?
We do. We have a theme
Okay.
every year. Is this the same thing from 2020? I just had already bought all the decorations and I was not
we
going
gotta
to waste
have an
them.
event. Yeah, to use them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but we are.
And that's going to be at the Bower.
It's going to be at the Bower this year. So we've outgrown. First Baptist was so generous to let us use their gym and donate the use of that space for the past few years. But we've outgrown it. We're ready to move on. And so we'll be at the Bower this year. There'll be a silent auction, and we will be socially distanced and spread out. And
it helps with the Bower. There's some good room
we can
at the Bower.
spread out at the Bower.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we'll be over there, and it's just going to be a great time.
Yeah, the work that you mentioned, it benefits from being able to have people donate and help, because it's not like you have this steady stream, like you said, from the government. Also, what y'all guys do for those that can relate, you know, for those that, you know, maybe you started up your own business, or, you know, maybe you work in a nonprofit, or maybe your role is multifaceted, or you're kind of a jack of all trades. It's exhausting.
Yes.
Whenever you're like responsible for 8 different things.
Yes.
And when one of those 8 things is finances, that might as well be its own 8 different things.
Yes.
And so you guys are champs to, you know, brave through that. And I'm glad y'all have been able to feel supported. I know one of the things that y'all do to, you know, receive support is the baby bottle boomerang that churches can join in partnership with.
Yeah.
And if you're cool with it, not trying to put you on the spot,
No.
but
Yeah.
if, you know, for those that, you know, are watching, they can actually see on the right-hand table, there's a little baby bottle. That's actually courtesy of, most of that's from Hope, actually. Hope High School. There was
Awesome.
some from there that wanted to donate. So wanted to say, yeah, sure. Hey, let it go to the pregnancy help center.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now the other thing is, though, we had, you know, the ability to help through that. There's also the ability to help with giving. You know, like you said, there was the donations there, and so I want to make sure, you know, for those that are wondering, you know, hey, can I help? I mean, it's like you said, it can be as easily as a tab away.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, or just showing up. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, if you want to tour, or
Yeah,
well, you may not be
please.
available to give the tour at times because, you know, you're going to be busy, but, you know, to come check
If we
out,
are, yeah.
you'll be
We'd
happy
love to
to.
show off our space. You know, we've done a lot with this small 600 square feet.
We're proud of that 600
We
square
are.
feet.
Yeah.
And so we're welcome to, especially if it call ahead. But
Well, I think it goes to show, right, when you really want to do something, like it, no matter what you got to do,
Right.
whatever mountains you have to climb to make it happen, you're willing to make it happen. And like, you guys have definitely shown that. You guys have shown that so much. Now, you know, are there, you know, some, you know, just kind of looking at, you know, maybe landing this, but, you know, before we go, you know, I would like to just know if y'all had maybe like this one thing that you wish you can share with anyone listening, you know, and Miranda, that includes you as well. You know, if there's something that you feel like is like, hey, if I had a microphone and I could pass along this word of wisdom, or if I can share this with somebody, this is the one thing I would want it to be. I'll start with you, Heather. What would that one thing be?
I think the one thing that I would want to share is that the goal of the pregnancy center is not to save babies. And that's so counter to what we say in the pro-life movement. But the goal of the Pregnancy Help Center is to lead families to Christ, and and we get to do that through helping them with their pregnancies. So if we have a mom who comes in and we don't share the love of Jesus with her,
right,
what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
If we don't give her that opportunity to know Jesus, then what's the point of anything that we're doing? So the Pregnancy Center is founded on the gospel of Christ. And so that is our main mission.
Right.
The rest of it just falls into place.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing for us, is we do not shy away from the fact that we are a Christian ministry. We don't turn anybody away regardless of their beliefs, their lifestyles, nothing. Everybody is welcome. There is no judgment in our building whatsoever.
Right.
But you are met with the love of Christ every time you walk in the door.
Yeah. That's great. And, the ability to see the byproduct of, wanting to lead people to Christ is the freedom to do this ministry and do it well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so Miranda, you have the mic now. You have the floor. Some words of wisdom from Miranda.
Oh goodness, won't find much. But mine's pretty simple. That anybody that comes in our door, they know they're loved. And we've had families that have a lot of support, and they just want a little bit of education. We have families that have no support, single dads, single moms, grandparents, things like that. And so whoever comes in their door, we just want them to know they're loved, and that we're doing this to help them. And so we love, love, love to be support for families. Getting calls from moms right after they deliver saying, the baby's here. Like, it's okay. You don't have to call us right then.
They're still in the recovery room.
Yeah.
We're
in
their
the
first
recovery
phone
room.
call. It's pretty
They're
cool.
like, so when are you going to come by?
Yeah, right.
Just a few minutes post baby. And so that has been so cool. And just hearing our client testimonies, especially years later, that we're impacting lives. And so I never would have thought in small Port Lavaca, we'd have such a cool ministry, and to be able to be a part of it from, not the very, very start, but since we opened on, it's been amazing. And so just our clients are loved. For mine's simple and short, you're loved,
Yeah.
and I think it totally shows in our center.
Absolutely.
Through our volunteers, through our donors, even at our banquets. We love our clients.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys are a part of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
It's
like
fun.
that. You had the belief, the call to action, and then the path was set. You got people here who've been able to plant the seeds, and then you guys are carrying the torch, and then there's people that you're able to kind of pass it on to in a way, by equipping them to be the I could be, not that I want to butcher it, but is it parenting partners, or what do you call those that help in the parenting classes, or for those that could potentially be involved with helping in that kind of way?
Our client advocates.
Client advocates.
Yes.
And you did say that. Okay. I got to get used to the terminology. I know some
Yeah.
places
It's
it may be different, but I guess alliteration is the way I remember things. So that's me. I'm sorry. But client advocates, we, like you said, praying that could, grow and do well. I don't want to cut it too short in the sense that, if there's anything that y'all still wanted to share in addition to this, you guys are definitely welcome to. If not, I didn't want to ask y'all too many questions, but
No, I think just know that anybody is welcome to come and just find out more about what we do. Come by. We'd love to show you around. We'd love to sit and talk with you and tell you more about what we do, and answer questions, any questions you might have.
Right.
If you're curious about what the pro-life movement is up to, we stay up to date on all of that stuff, so we can even share that with you. But just anything that we can do just to answer questions and just be there, come by.
Awesome. My last thing that I'll probably just kind of cap this with is that I do definitely see this as an exemplary example of being pro-life, in the sense that, yes, there is the primary goal of bringing people to Christ and being a light for them. But there's also this thing that's happening. It's that people are seeing the action and not just what's being said. You're not just saying, we want your baby, to see day one, but you're saying, here's the clothes that we're going to put on this baby. Here's the classes we're going to do for parents to make sure that they're able to be the best that they can be as a parent to this child, and as, mom and dad, and so those are things that say, I am pro-life, or those are things that say, I'm about seeing success for these families. And so, it's just cool to be on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
We just hope to, continually partner together, and, I hope others can take that plunge too, and, partnering with you too. But I'm just excited to see what's next. Apparently you guys are just starting. It's crazy. Year 3.
We are. Year 3.
And y'all have like a book's worth of stories
Oh
already.
my goodness, yes.
Yeah.
I think we just scratched the surface today. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Well, and the cool thing with this too, it's like I'm, trying to work at as well is, if there's things where, hey, we can come back and, there's other things to put on the table and share, like definitely want to keep that opportunity always open. And, in the meantime, just want to make sure we know how to, get you guys just some more light and be a support. So keep doing what y'all are doing. Like, don't slow down. Unless you need a rest. Like take care of yourselves. Don't
That's what Saturdays are
don't
for.
burn out.
Right.
Yeah. You're like, we get a Saturday.
Every now and then. No.
Yeah.
No, we really appreciate you though, having us on and letting us share our hearts and what we do. It surprises us how many people in Calhoun County don't even know we're here. Even though we've been here for 3 years, there's a lot of people who don't know that we're here. So any way that we can share what we're doing is a great opportunity. So thank you for having us on.
My pleasure. And of course you guys are fun to hang out with too.
Thanks.
So that definitely, that always helps. But yeah, again, thanks for your time. And again, y'all take care. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.